Working within the E-MDT provides us with a broader scope of professionals and helps educate the adult protective practitioners on those different systems specific to working with an impaired or vulnerable adult.
The E-MDT is filled with a wealth of knowledge that we as APS might not be aware of. The people that sit on the E-MDT team are experts in their own area. So they are able to share with us different ideas and different roles that they might be able to play when we become involved with this individual. We facilitate a lot with the different agencies to make sure that everybody's role is being used best in an efficient way to make sure that we meet all the different needs of the individual. We can work with law enforcement, banks, different people in the community that really work together to make sure that we're meeting all their needs.
One of the other neat things that APS does, at least in my perspective, is taking a look at the whole person and being a good advocate for that adult in front of the team, being respectful of who they are, where they came from, what their perception of the future is, and being able to voice that in front of the team. If law enforcement's there, or banking, fraud, or security people, the county attorney or the district attorney, that's not where they're coming from. But that's a unique role that APS provides for anybody who's being presented to the team.
Adult Protective Services has the ability to form that relationship with the client so they can talk about their needs and their wishes, and we are then able to bring that back to the team and express that and make those wishes known. We look at what the client needs, wants, and what their wishes are, and then we look at what agencies, community resources, and things like that we can link them to. Everything is driven by what the client wants. After it's presented at the meeting, we get an opportunity to hear from our colleagues as to what their ideas might be in the next steps that we should take. It just gives us an overview of the different things that we have available to look into. Hear different stories from other people on the team about what they've done in similar circumstances or situations. And it just provides an opportunity for us to collaborate with each other and figure out exactly what's worked in the past and what hasn't.
So by the next time we come back to the team meeting, which happens every month, we always touch on that case that was presented before. We check in with each other, and everybody has some homework coming out of that team meeting. So that's a good thing, whether it's linking them with home care services or mental health services or getting more information from banks or security things. It's, APS can get financial information really easy, and the district attorney needs a subpoena. We don't. So that's a cool tool.
My clients have the ability to now access different services that maybe they weren't aware of or I wasn't aware of beforehand. Sitting in on the team meeting gives me an opportunity to share their story and get different tips and ideas and things that I might not have been aware of that I can now take back to my client and provide and educate them with and make them aware of different things that are available for them in their community.
It helps us define whether or not someone may need other services directly from APS, such as a representative payee or possibly a guardian, an Article 81 guardian, to maybe fix a specific issue or to unravel some bad or some harm that has come to somebody. And traditionally that role of deciding to apply for a guardianship fell exclusively to APS, but it's really refreshing to share that with a broader group specific to a problem and hear other professionals, especially attorneys, say, yeah, that makes sense.
It's amazing to be able to make those connections, and then I can think of those connections as I'm working with every other client that I'm working with to see if it's something I need to bring to the E-MDT team or even just reach out individually to one team member and ask their advice on something. I've been able to utilize my team members quite often, which has been helpful.
Another part of APS is we have a regulatory rule to make referrals to law enforcement if we think a crime has occurred. And so participating in the E-MDT, making referrals to the E-MDT will help a consistent response from law enforcement and from investigation, and also at the same time provide us back with that feedback about what's going on. One of the cool things that's done for the team is to provide some insight in how prosecutors look at cases, and quite helpful for us, for APS practitioners, thinking about those kinds of things when they're doing an interview out in the community. So if we think they've been a victim of some financial exploitation or some other bad things, I think we have some responsibility to outline their victimization to them in a one-on-one conversation. APS really has quite a bit of authority to kind of look into your financial affairs or your medical background. You know, we're not a covered entity under HIPAA. Gramm-Leach-Bliley lets us ask and look. We have a responsibility to do so, especially if the adult's impaired. And that's a heady responsibility, but it's a unique tool that APS has. It's exclusive to APS. It's not exclusive to law enforcement. They have to go get a subpoena or a search warrant. We don't necessarily need to do that.
We feel that if we're in the same process of trying to keep these individuals safe and we're trying to work to better our clients, then individuals are able to share the information to protect them. We do this, out of respect for them and to make sure that we are covering all of the bases that we possibly can. So it's not that we're necessarily just gossiping about their information. We're trying to share their information with other professionals that might be able to help us keep them safe.
Seems to give a great deal more credibility to the role of adult protective services and the practice of adult protective service with the E-MDT as opposed to other community-based groups and not-for-profit groups where we talk about what we do and who we are, but those groups are also talking about who they are and what they do from a medical point of view or home care point of view or a not-for-profit point of view. But joining the E-MDT, and it seems to give a great deal of solid credibility, especially with county attorney, district attorney, and state police. It speaks volumes. It is really neat to sit back and look at the evolution of adult protective services here in New York. Take a look at the changes that have occurred since the 80s. Take a look at how strong the federal government and the state government has participated with us, made money available to us, and evolved us into the professional practice that we've become today. And you can feel it changing ever more with E-MDTs. I mean, this is like cutting edge stuff to be able to formulate an enhanced multidisciplinary team throughout the state to go after issues of vulnerable adults and their victimization.
Yes, I feel like you got to give it a try. The people that you are going to meet that sit on that team are a wealth of knowledge that you might not have been aware of beforehand.
It's really important to me to be able to share the problems that we're faced with on the behalf of vulnerable adults with something bigger than just adult protective services and something with a system that has some clout to do something about it. Even though we can make a case decision or an assessment decision within the guidelines of APS, sometimes these issues are just so complicated that sharing them with a bigger group, especially a bigger group that has some clout, is really meaningful. And that is meaningful for me as a professional, and it's really doubly meaningful for the impaired adult that's out in the community that's trying to survive.